Live with us tonight on In Focus, Newzroom Afrika, channel 405. The Independent Police Investigative Directorate says one police officer who was injured during the shootout was with a cash-in-transit suspect has died at the Milpark hospital. This after law enforcement foiled a CIT heist near the South Rand hospital. Now, at least 8 suspects were fatally wounded and declared dead at the crime scene, and 4 police officers were wounded in the shootout at Rosettenville in Johannesburg yesterday. Authorities say one of the deceased suspects is a former SANDF member. To date, 10 people have been arrested and another 7 are still on the run. All right, for more on this, I'm joined now by IPID spokesperson Grace Langa. Grace, good evening, and thank you very much for your time and for joining us tonight here on In Focus. A number of scenes that have been combed throughout the day from yesterday. I think 4 to 5 crime scenes that you're looking at. What are you finding in those crime scenes?
Yes, we had 5 crime scenes, and then from what I received a preliminary report now from the investigators, which confirms that we had about 356 empty cartridges of rifles that were used by the criminals against the police officers. And then one of the suspects is a former military officer from the South African Defence Force.
Yeah, if you look at the kind of ammunition, the rounds that were used here, were the police equipped to respond, I suppose, gun for gun to the kind of armory that the suspects were carrying?
The police were also armed, and then they did their part from what we received from their side. We also collected their firearms. They also had those big firearms that they used to defend themselves. But then, like I said, we are investigating. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. What else do we know about the suspects, especially those who are deceased, but even those who are currently in detention?
The ones which are in detention are at Johannesburg Central Prison, and some of the police officers who were injured are recovering well. There's an improvement there and there, but the report from my investigators are confirming that one of the police officers who was taken to Milpark Hospital, unfortunately, has passed on, and one of the suspects, I mean the military ex-employee of Defence Force, he also died as a result. The police shot him. His body was outside one of the yards in that incident.
Yeah. When you lift the swabs or DNA, when you take the fingerprints, any of the suspects appearing as being previous offenders, having been through the system, or at least wanted for other crimes apart from what happened yesterday?
No, those are going to be taken for forensics and everything. So we have not reached to that level. We only collected what we needed to collect, but they're still going to be checked and tested. So for now, we are going to focus on the post-mortem. This week, we are on the post-mortem. Those will come a bit later, I believe.
And as far as the police that were injured themselves, what is the IPID investigation revealing? Any foul play, any unnecessary use of force?
It is very early to say, but then I want to assure South Africans that IPID is very objective and independent in its work, so we're not going to take sides. If the police used force as per the Police Act, and that they should use aggressive force when their lives are under threat, that will be the case. It will be self-defense. But then I don't want to prejudge. Let's allow our investigators complete their job.
Grace Langa, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us, speaking there on behalf of IPID. That's Grace Langa on the preliminary report at 5 crime scenes, as these were moving crime scenes from one point to another. and what has been discovered and the extent of ammunition that we use, the force against the police in particular. Let's take a look at